Hi, this is Nat, and today I'm talking about people who don't play games. Well, that doesn't make any sense. This is after all a channel about gaming. Nope, definitely says right here, people who don't play games, and why their perspective may be of value to us. This will be a two-part show, as I can't fit everything that I want to say into the one video. It barely fits in two. The second part will be up on Monday, so be sure to check back then to see it. An expert's knowledge is not something to dismiss lightly, and indeed, I have no intention of dismissing any expert knowledge here today. I doubt many of us would think to interrupt a doctor to explain to them what they should actually be prescribing for our treatment. Where do the things that doctors have come to recognise as indicators of a particular ailment's symptoms come from? The very lay people who use these terms to describe how they are feeling. Why do games appear the way they often do to outsiders? These violent and misogynistic things, designed to corrupt and destroy. I'm not going to say that there is any credibility to the frequently debunked claims that violent video games create violent gamers. But when a moral outrage rises, and panic erupts over our preferred pastime, I think we ought to at least stay a while and listen. What can we learn from doing this? Maybe we can discover if it is down to how games present themselves to non-gamers. Or is it down to the language or the images that some games use in advertising? Old media, specifically television and printed media, are undeniably under threat from the new ways we get our information and entertainment. Does this render some elements within the older media forms more likely to pursue a story with a particular emphasis against games? I believe that sometimes it does. Often we have seen new reports where the overall hyperbole of a story focuses on the unknown or unknowable. It is an extremely myopic view to take to imbue games with this mystical corruptive power, which overplays the influence of the medium to maintain a controversy or ratings-grabbing horror. The focus is on the threat, and the threat is kept at a constant. Couple that with an audience who, like all human beings, have a latent mistrust of the things they don't understand, and suddenly it may seem like everyone who believes or indulges the myths attached to games is a dangerous censorship-obsessed reactionary. But it's not that hopeless. As I said, that audience is behaving how all humans do to the new and the strange. We have a common ground in that. Perhaps this is why we need to give consideration to how games are talked about, how they're advertised. You and I know the content of our games is not the same as how it is sometimes portrayed. There are other things we can learn too. Entire genres of games which have grown in recent years, due in no small part to the influence and interest of non-traditional gamers. If we look at the revival of text adventure games, hidden object games, match 3 and point and click games, these styles were reinvigorated by developers looking to appeal to a new audience. It is much the same as when Nintendo branded their console, the Nintendo Entertainment System, so as to find a way past the perceived stigma of being one of those things that had a huge financial crash. Games like Machinarium, Telltale's take on, well, it seems to be everything now, or games like Candy Crush and Farmville. These games drew people in, people who didn't even think of games as games. They were the thing that they did on the train to pass the time. That thing they did when they were waiting for a response to their message. They were social, and they were private. And then there is what I assume is Steam's ever-continuing intention to take over the universe. We now know that this will take the form of a four-pronged attack involving a controller, Steam Link, a virtual reality headset, and of course, Steam machines. I think that perhaps this attempted invasion will fail, but it is both why that is, and the existence of this campaign which is of note. It is both demonstrative of the influence that non-gamers can have, and a case of how we could have learned from their perspective. The idea behind Steam machines in particular seems to be that we will have a standard for PC gaming. Not in a closed system fashion, as with consoles where you must own this console to play this game, but where you need to have a machine of approximately this level of performance to play these games. It sounds great, but anyone who games on PC quickly learns of what the requirements to play a given title is, and how much to spend and where to spend on upgrades for the coming year. But this is not aimed at people who game already. The machines, the controller, the case designs all scream that this is a console. This is Valve finding a way into the living rooms of people who looked at PC gaming and thought it looked far too complex. So that would obviously mean making these Steam machines readily understood to lay people and simple to explain. I mean, surely that's the entire point of it. Yet the machines are advertised on Steam the same way as any other pre-built PC. They are a short blurb of technical information and a price tag. This is of little use to the kind of consumers Steam appears to be trying to attract. Where is the breakdown in performance and capability? Where is the list of titles best suited to this machine, and what kind of screen to view it on? We buy grade A washing machines. We check the resolution of a TV. Why do we need to check the benchmark and individual attributes of a machine when the prime selling point of it is supposedly its simplicity and out-of-the-box functionality? It's just another unnecessary barrier to entry. The opinions of those from outside the world of gaming may not be as informed. They may lack nuance and seem defensive. But often these faults are reflective of our own, and there is much we may gain by giving a modicum of consideration to their views. We are Dinoslippers USB. If you like this video, then make a balanced judgment and resolve to click the like button. If there is more about the opinions of those from outside the world of gaming that you want to discuss, then leave a comment below. And if you really like this video, then click subscribe and check out my other videos.